Hero Wizard in a nutshell. Wizard will be the next hero coming to Clash Royale. You can find him in the Diamond Pass, which if you'll be buying, I would appreciate if you used code Abdod. His ability casts a tornado on every attack he does for 1 elixir. Now obviously the tornadoes don't last forever, as that would be extremely broken. Instead, the ability itself has a certain duration, which is usually long enough to get you 3 tornadoes. I say usually because when slowed down and or stunned, he can miss 1 out of the 3 tornadoes, so changes in attack speed do affect him. Slowing down alone doesn't make him lose 1 of his tornadoes. He technically gets the last one like a few frames before his ability ends. And on the other side of this effect, if you raise your wizard to speed up his attack speed, you will end up getting 4 tornadoes instead of 3, which I guess is 2 elixir for 1 nado only, but if you already wanted to raise, it's free extra value. Besides the tornadoes, I don't know if you noticed that, but bro is literally levitating now. He is considered an air troop while levitating, so he isn't safe from phoenix, minions, musketeers and stuff like that. And during levitation, he gets a movement speed increase, probably to make it more likely for him to find a target to attack if the ability was activated early. One detail that most people miss is that his regular attack while grounded deals more damage than the air one. Look very closely here, it doesn't one-shot a level 12 minion, but the damage from the tornadoes compensate for it. Although the tornado is hot, it's not hot enough to kill a skeleton. The spawn location of his tornado is slightly above where the fireball lands, so it can interrupt the attacks of the cards that are currently on your tower. The offset on the nado isn't that far, so if an electro giant is on your tower, the tornado won't get him off of it. And the placement of the wizard doesn't change the tornado position, so even if he was behind or beside the electro giant himself, nothing would really change. Instead, the support troops are what's most affected by the placement of the main target. For example, a high ranged card like Lava Hound makes it easier for you to abuse the tornado mechanic on their balloon if you time it properly. Or a push that has a fast card bypassing a slower tank, since positioning the wizard in a way that would have him lock on the slow tank can help you abuse the tornadoes more. Countering him is limited to a very low amount of options because there is so much you can do against a flying wizard that spawns tornadoes. One obvious counter is freezing him right as he flies, because the freeze lasts around the same amount of time the ability does, although it's a 4-for-1 trade, but you still freeze him and the tower with it. Then there is using a spell like lightning on him right as he flies to make sure they wasted 1 elixir over nothing. But there's so much time you can wait until their wizard gets too much value if they delayed the activation of the ability. And if you can predict with a miner, you can waste all 3 nado shots on nothing, but it's a bit hard to pull off. There is this interaction with Hero Giant where a card like Bonk stopping its ability mid-air would override the throw. While this is probably a bug, it doesn't work the same with Wizard, so it's always safe to throw him to the other side even when he is flying. But you typically want your push to kill him instead of throw him to the opposite lane. Also, not even mid-ladder players are dumb enough to play a Wizard into your Giant. When using him, I feel like he can pair up really well with other splash cards, so maybe we'll start seeing a Wizard and an Ice Wizard on defense, which if that ends up happening, I'm gonna see my way out of this match. That does extend to spirits, since pulling everything together can get you more value off of them. But it doesn't stop here. A cheap spirit can force their tank to move towards the middle, which would make the tornadoes more valuable on their win condition. Granted, skeletons are better at this. Basically, having a cheap card to combo with him can be very helpful. In crucial parts of the game, you would typically use a small spell with a splash card to ensure you take 0 damage on your tower. With this ability, you can treat it like a small spell since it only costs 1 elixir, and the triple pullback on it can buy your wizard enough time to perfectly defend some stuff. But kinda like how Evo Royal Hogs screw you over against Expo, pressing the ability can lose you the game through some targeting changes. Granted, you typically don't want your wizard face tanking a spark shot, but it's hell of a lot better than tanking it on your tower. Offensively, the first thought anyone can have is make him fly when they are trying to assassinate him on their side. One cool property he has is the fact that you can basically just have him attack from the river. Worst case, if they felt their building is too threatened, they would have to place something on the wizard to prevent him from flying over the river, therefore feeding him some value. Oh, and fun fact, you can damage pump behind the tower. The damage is too low, but maybe it would deny an elixir and make your ability free. Now for Dex, I don't think there's a conversation to be had here. he probably will still work in the same few giant and control decks. I can see a few cycle decks picking him up because he can defend pushes on his own, but his 5 cost can slow down your cycle, so I don't know if it's worth it. For king activations, the ability does allow you to get a king activation, and it gets easier the closer he is to the middle of the arena. As long as he crosses the bridge normally, you should be able to activate your king tower by placing a troop around this area over here. You can activate your king tower using your own hero wizard against a monk, although it's not really worth sacking 5 elixir for it in most cases. Here are these sound effects.
Time to show some true magic. Ooh. Watch close. Fluffy your eyes. Fluffy, arise. Huh? Witness true magic. Crank the fire. Showtime! Catch this! Boom! Fireball!
Wow, I love Tornado so much. It's definitely not my most hated cards of all time. I'm so glad more cards are getting the Tornado mechanic. I can't wait for next season to face nothing but Hog, Balloon or Sparky, my dudes.